Good morning and thank you. Just as a quick note before we get started, we're running a little bit ahead, which is very rare for this group. What I'd like to do is make sure that you have the app, that you have it downloaded, and you can use it for question and answer when we're working with the moderators. So to get this session started, I'd like to start with introductions to Steve Simpson, to Blake Cahill, and to Bruce Hoang, and they're going to take it from there.
We on? All right, great. So hi, I'm Steve Simpson. I'm the global president of Publicis People Cloud at Publicis Spine, based in London. I've got some great guests this morning. I have both Bruce and Blake, and we're introduced by another Bruce, so we have the Spanish 3Bs here, I think. Rather than me introduce the guys, I'll hand it over to Blake to get started.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Blake Cahill. I head up digital marketing, media, and e-commerce at Royal Philips out of Amsterdam.
Hi, I'm Bruce Hoang. I'm in the Orange France communication department team, and I am Chief Digital and Data Communication Officer. So talking about social media and also data in terms of innovation and technological machine learning for prediction, for instance.
Wow, okay. So it's very rare that I get to sit next to such hallowed people, right? Very, very smart clients. This is the session that you guys really should be listening, you know, as opposed to checking your phones, because these are the guys at the sharp end really running business. So what I want to ensure is that we get plenty of questions here through the app. I'm checking them coming in, even though it's now locked, so we'll see how we get on with those. But I prepared some questions in advance on my phone. I'm so Gen Z. Give us a sense, guys, and we're thinking about a session here which is really about how clients are starting to take control of their own destiny, how they're in-housing more of their, I'd say, marketing capabilities, thinking about the role of data and technology in enabling that and in accelerating that inside your own businesses. So give us a sense of, you know, your own scope of influence inside your business and the role that you see data and technology playing in that landscape. So let's start with you, Bruce.
Okay. Well, it's not necessarily a matter of internalizing for internalizing. I mean, it's just not an objective. I mean, I think the purpose of my team, I run a team of 30 people inside the communication department. The purpose of my team is that given the fast-changing world, Orange or big companies needs to adapt to new ways of working and to be more agile, more efficient for the products that we sell. So being that purpose, we use the best of digital and data to enhance the capabilities of Orange for our product and when we launch campaigns. Then, giving this purpose and this objective, we want to take digital and data as, by design for the team. So it's more a transformation objective. And when you talk about transformation, it means that it needs to come from the inside of the organization. I mean, for years, I think that our company, and like many other companies, I guess, relied on the expertise of agencies, which is good because we need to partner with strong expertise. But there is this balance to really identify between the expertise of an agency, which is absolutely key, for instance, media or creativity, and the fact that you can actually project yourself when you're a manager inside a company to transform the organization, to adapt the system so that you can be more real-time and more efficient using data. And how do you make teams cooperate all together? How do you make all the moments of life all consistent across the customer funnel? And that's the objective, the end objective. And when you think about that, it means that some aspects need to be internalized so that people get accountable internally and not someone from the outside of the organization.
Yeah, and I can understand why this it sits at the center of your thinking. You sit on a lot of data yourself. You create a lot of data, you know, at Orange. And then I guess, Blake, you've probably seen quite an evolution at Philips since the time you've been there, as you're probably e-commerce sales are doubling and tripling year over year. And so maybe answer the same question, but through the lens of Philips as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do it from the customer perspective. You know, you don't do it just for your own purposes. The customer's rapidly changing, and we're going to talk about this a little bit in the D2C section later today. But you know, if you lead with the customer is giving off all kinds of data and signals, first party, second party, third party data. You need to build that muscle and capability internally. In the old days of marketing, we didn't have all those signals, so we couldn't deliver personalization at scale. And of course, there's a partner ecosystem, but you know, you're building new muscle, new DNA, new skills, and if you want to survive and thrive, I think as a brand to be relevant in the future, those are critical capabilities you need in-house. And that's really been our journey. I mean, of course, there's byproducts from all of this, and Bruce touched on that. You know, that you can feed it into creative, you can feed it into how you deliver personalized content at scale, become a content factory, and you can also become more efficient. You know, the global platforms allow for you to do stuff at scale, at mass, all at once, instead of, you know, at least for how we're organized, 100 different countries, 17 markets, everybody briefing every agency 10 different ways to Sunday. You know, we can push a button centrally in Amsterdam in order to make stuff scale. So there is a cost benefit, but honestly, we do it for the data and insight in order to deliver the best experiences we can. Are we perfect? Are we there yet? No. But, you know, I think a lot of people get really excited about all the ad tech, martech, and it becomes this whole tech discussion. Really underneath it, it's about the data, right? And what you do with those insights.
So then, how do you choose how to make investments, and then how do those become operationalized inside your business? So if we almost think of a spectrum on the left-hand side of client-owned, client-operated, and on the right-hand side, agency-owned or agency-partnered and agency-operated, where do you guys see that world inside your own business? Are you investing in your own technology? Are you licensing technology? Are you operating it yourselves? How does that shape up for your own organizations?
Do you mind if I go? I think you hit a good point, because there is a certain maturity level. You know, you can build this gorgeous Ferrari ad tech, martech stack that you think you can drive, but if you don't have everybody along within the company on how that's going to operate and how it's going to come to life, you know, why build a Ferrari when you might only need a Fiat to get started? So I think it is about the journey of how you unpack the different levels of the data and the technology, so that you can get your organization to go along with it. And we've taken, you know, foundational approach, get you know, the DMP, the DSP, you know, the programmatic, all that in place, move that as much inside. Then, as we start to scale global platforms, do I need to do that across every single market? No, maybe I can do that a little more centrally. So it's all about, I think, an evolution. And there's a role for the agency in there as well, helping us be very strategic, I think.
And I imagine that you're licensing a lot of that technology from the third-party LumaScape. And how is that centralized from Philips? Are you basically single DMP, single DSP? Is that stack relatively consistent?
Yes. It's
oh, cool.
Single one stack.
Okay.
With the same vendors everywhere. Always China is a slightly different variation because of a little thing called a firewall. However, we mimic as much as we can with the Chinese landscape and keep. We have to keep the data there. Same thing with Russia, but follow the same principles. Yeah.
And what about you, Bruce? How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, Sam. We built our stack, and we want to own our data, and we want to actually use the data externally with an Orange ID, for instance, which is really important. A couple of examples where we actually took the step to internalize. The first one is about our trading desk, programmatic. We actually made a tender, and we said to our media agency, we say, look, you are really, really good guys as you know, buying TV direct and orchestrate all the different levers, digital and also offline, because TV is so important, press is so important, radio is so important. How you build synergies and a consistent communication across all these different touchpoints, right? That we never had the expertise internally to do that. So we rely very much on the agency to orchestrate that. However, in terms of programmatic, because we have our own DMP, because we have our own seat inside the DSP, we are able actually to get all the data and to make some decision between the lower funnel and the upper funnel and really project ourselves into performance in terms of sales, right? So training desk and programmatic was really key as a first step so that all marketing teams, communication teams, all across of the funnel could really engage and be accountable for all touchpoints. The second thing that we are about to internalize is the community management. I mean, we used to outsource our community management, but the matter of the fact is, when you outsource your community management and you have a strong client service, and you are in a sector where people sometimes complain because they need to have access to their phone or have network, if you don't have this basic bottom line relationship layer, it's difficult to build on branding and business afterwards. So it looks like, I mean, when we outsource the community management, the community manager would actually do great things, creative things, but more campaign-driven, publicity-driven. And at the same time, we didn't really respond to our client needs. So there's a ton of voice to really identify. There's the editorial, line to build. And it's important when you're a big organization, when you have a crisis, or when the network is not here, it's out. You need to be really on the touching on the crisis internally. The agency cannot do that on their own. So we felt that it was absolutely critical to build this relationship layer and then build on this to make the branding and the business side more efficient. So those are two examples where it was absolutely needed in order to increase the satisfaction of our customer to internalize some of what has been done by the agency before.
Yeah, I mean, I guess coming from a perspective of working in a large agency holding group, my teams and my organization work with the top 1 or 2 players in every category in every country of the world. And one of the things that I notice is that there are no clear winners in this place, so therefore, as an advertiser and a marketer, you have to make some bets. Maybe over time there'll be less logos as partners spending more, Andreas, We'll see some rationalization in this space. But how do you future-proof your investments in data and technology? Because you could be spending millions of euros by creating partnerships or licensing technology that within 18 months, the business is just no longer around. So how do you think about that? Does it worry you?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we have actually pretty extensive what we call Philips integrated landscape, our IT and our ad tech and MarTech stack, which then we fit over the world, which we review that annually for white spots and for obsolescence or for what's missing. I think it goes back to this point of getting that single view of the customer to be able to provide the most relevant context. And I think, data and technology now give us that power. It's just a question of can you implement it fully and bring it to life. I mean, the basic use case that I always say is if you called my contact center yesterday and one of your products was broken or something, not working, the last thing I want to do is be flashing an ad at you on Facebook for something you just called into the contact center about. But wouldn't it be nice to know also in that same contact center that the day before they actually clicked on something? So I think getting to a 360 view of the customer, but you have to unpack that slowly. I mean, the North Star is very easy to state, but can you take a whole organization, can you make all those investments and be completely future-proof? I'm not really sure, you know, because the digital space is changing so quickly. You know, how do you integrate VR and AR? I don't really know yet, right? We're experimenting right now with NFC, you know, so that, you know, we can deliver, you know, a consistent experience behind NFC as NFC scales. So I think, you know, you need to have a really agile setup with a clear roadmap of what you're trying to do, and that's sort of been our perspective, and not take on too much, otherwise you won't be successful. Quick wins.
Yeah, I think a way to be kind of future-proof is the fact that, well, let's go back to basics. If I hire an agency, if a company hires an agency, whatever agency it is to be more efficient and to really make the best of the expertise of the company. And there's no doubt that agencies have great expertise. There's some expertise we will never get inside an organization. First of all, because we're a big organization and the system is creates a lot of inertia. However, if you want to have you deserve your agency in a way. Companies deserve their agency in a way. It means that if the agency doesn't have a person in front of them knowing what it is about data, transparency, efficiency, stack, etc., cooperation will not be efficient. We need very fast decision-making process because we live in a real-time and a fast-changing world. We need to understand all the touch points of the customer. We need to swiftly be able to make some decisions to be more efficient and increase the satisfaction of our customer. In order to do that, we need to have people who understand the same language, and the language is evolving very rapidly. So it means that at one point of time, you need to reduce the decision-making process, and you need to have people who understand what people do in the agency, and what the agency needs to have people who understand the dynamics of the organization inside. If you have that, you'll be more agile. That's the way I see it.
So I was actually reading one of your interviews, Blake, most recently, and you said something.
What did I say? I've got my first troll on LinkedIn. This is a guy dating me. He re-quoted me from some article.
Oh, real life trolling is much more painful. Let me let you know. It's about to happen.
It's just kind of funny. But anyways.
No, I mean,
I'm a real big boy now. I've got a troll.
You suggested that technology is only 25% of the solution, right? Or something, I'm just paraphrasing for effect. When I think about the work of an agency today, we really get diversity of clients, diversity of people, the opportunity to go and work across a multitude of different clients in different categories. How do you attract talent? You know, and what is the role of talent inside your organization? Because quite frankly, some of the largest advertisers that I work with, and in full transparency, I don't work on a day-to-day with you guys, maybe one day we will, we see that attracting talent is a real challenge for a brand advertiser today.
Yeah, you know, I think talent, and we're on a journey ourselves at Philips. Actually, we just are announcing sort of the movement of some people further into my team. What we find, we're able to really attract talent, but the talent likes to have different missions, right? You can't keep somebody on the same mission in perpetuity in this space. So what we're trying to flex to a little bit more is the agile model, where we take a task or a mission, we put together a team to solve that challenge, whether that's we want to implement retargeting on programmatic against all the campaigns in the world, and how is that going to work? Or we need to really fix the shopping cart because we have this much abandon. So what we try to do is make people a little bit more T-shaped versus just having a specialization. And I think this is the pivot that we're on, because we, to get the basics in place, we kind of grouped everything essentially by domain expertise. Search team, social team, CRM team. But in digital, everything's freaking connected, If you've implemented Salesforce, the marketing cloud, you need omni-channel experience in that team to try to do it, because it isn't just about sending CRM mails or in-app messages. So I think for us, we are definitely on this journey, but to specifically answer your question, I think the key to talent managing your digital kind of ecosystem, whether that's in media or digital marketing or e-commerce, you need to have a strong rotational system. And then for us, that also means with our markets, the people on the front line. So how do you do talent exchange between the frontline people and the people in the towers, keeping it real between both sides? And I make it sound easy, it's not. My community is over 300 and something people, so managing that is not simple, but we try.
Go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the talent, I think how we define it, and I could totally agree with what you said. I would define the talent as a marketing technologist or creative technologist. So having someone who comes from the technical side, for instance, from the IT side, and having a hybrid person who understands technical stuff, but also will be able to be creative and to be strategic. So the talent is actually evolving, and there's no training or school for that. It means that you take people from different units, and you create a journey for them, and then they get hybrid, and they get the best for the digital world in which we are living.
Look, our time is sort of up. Yeah, and it's again, it's very rare that you meet a couple of clients who have a very clear view of what the future looks like and how to get there. You know, for me, the thing I take away here is that you guys are running extremely quickly. At the same time, well, I'm sure when you're in the trenches, it doesn't feel like you're running quickly enough for your boss. And I'm going to take this last couple of seconds before the music plays to say, if you're sitting in this audience as a brand advertiser today, I'd imagine that it's very overwhelming. There's a multitude of data assets that live within your own organization that you cannot bring together. There are people knocking at your door wanting to sell you technology, and actually at the same time, a lot of your talent equally wants to work at Amazon or Facebook than work for you. What is the one thing that you would do tomorrow if you were feeling that level of overwhelm? So go back through your roadmap. Tell us either where you began or what you would have began with if you had the benefit of hindsight. And they'll play us off Oscar style if we don't keep it short. Go ahead, Bruce.
Sorry, I'm not sure to have really understood
where to get started. Where would an advertiser here get started? Just one small thing to get started.
Okay, get started with the basic of reconciling the touch points.
Yeah, I would say pick a journey and then apply against that journey a different way of doing it and demonstrate through a quick win with either technology, retargeting, whatever it might be, how you radically improve the outcome. And I think if you do that with a business impact focus, then you can prove how it's meaningful and why you need to make the step, right?
Perfect. Look, you've been a great panel. We didn't get the questions from the audience. These guys are around all day. Either go and grab them at lunch, or if you're a young, aspiring data scientist who either came up short in the Data Creativity Awards or the hackathon, and you have your resume handy, then I'm sure these guys would like to talk to you. Please give these guys a round of applause. They've been fantastic. Thank you.